Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. I'm going to answer a viewer's question at the moment, but I'm going to show everybody how to remove a side plate on a Pflueger Capitol. These reels were made in the 1960s. And answer a viewer's question at the same time, because the viewer gave me a question about a spring location. They opened up theirs and the spring shot out on the free spool release. So I figured we'll do two things at once. We'll show you how to take the side plate off, take the side plate apart for service, and answer that viewer's question on the spring. So the Pflueger Capitol is a beautiful reel. It's got a lot of features and functions to it. It was coated with a German silver side plate. It was made in the U.S. and it has a single screw take-apart system that helps you to remove that side plate. So we'll get started there. We're going to take that side plate off. You will notice that there's two lines over here on the side plate. There's a hash tag that goes up top and one on the bottom, and that's the leveling of the swing of that side plate when you pull out that single screw. So we're going to pull that out, and when it matches that bottom hash tag, it's kind of ready to go. So that's how you remove the side plate to start. We're just going to put this off to the side for a moment because the question is on the location of a spring. So while I'm doing this, I want to thank our first responders and essential personnel, everybody involved in law enforcement, fire, rescue, first aid, the emergency rooms, as well as all of the hospital wards that are treating the folks that have come down with coronavirus. Thank you for everything that you're doing, and thank you for trying your best to keep us safe in the midst of this pandemic. It truly is appreciated. Thank you also to the teachers, to the essential personnel in the distribution lines, all of the folks that are involved in keeping food and the like on our tables, and helping to keep us trying to live a life as normal as we can during this difficult period. All right, so we've taken off the star adjuster and the little ferrule that puts pressure onto the drag system. Now we have 4 drag screws, or I'm sorry, bridge screws that we're going to take that part out with. And that's a flat-bladed screwdriver. So let's go ahead and do that. So you can generally find this schematic still online. I know I've picked it out in the past off of the Orca website, which is the Old Reel Collectors Association website. But I think there's a couple of other places that may show this schematic as well. And that'll help you to identify where the pieces and parts go on your reel. So I would encourage you to do that if you're not familiar with the reel, because it will save you a lot of heartache in trying to make sure that you're doing the right thing in terms of the pieces and parts you take off, and in terms of the reassembly of the reel if you get stuck. Okay, once those 4 screws are removed, then you should be able to push the bridge through, just like that. This should just slide down now, like that. And then with any luck, we should be done with being able to remove the side plate from the spacer plate. As I said, with any luck. Sometimes they're a little bit more stubborn. There we go. Sometimes they're more stubborn. If you get stuck like that, go ahead and use like a razor knife or something. Watch yourself if you do. I've done this before, right, where you cut yourself. But just keep your fingers free if you want to use that little wedge of a knife there to separate that. But that's just a big plastic hunk or a rubber hunk. I'm not sure. It could be either. I'm guessing it's plastic. That's the spacer that controls that. And here's the question from the viewer that we had. How does that spring come, and where does it go? Kind of a deal, right? It's kind of a pretty much a dirty version of that. But so here's your answer. You want to take that spring. You can probably take it off, I think. It does control this. The first question was, what does it control? just going to hold it here so it doesn't shoot. You can see that the spring controls pressure on the side here, which is going to hold this. And this does have the trip back effect when the little spinner here, this piece here, on your drag stack, this top piece here is what's going to trip that lever. So you're going to go into free spool. This little angle part here on the gear is going to come around and it's going to push this up to engage that spool gear again. All right, let's just let's get adventurous here and take this off just to show how to install it. This is held in by tension, so that should be it. This is the spring that they had in question. That's your orientation to it. You have the side. I guess I could probably clean this up a little bit while I'm at it. I'm going to tune this reel up now that I got it open, but probably not tune it up right away. I got a customer reel or two sitting here, but you want to clean up this side plate. This side plate will clean up very nicely with some steel wool. And you can already see it'll polish it up. It'll take the grime and grease off of it, and the like. Okay, so we saw how this one went then when it was installed. It's installing from top to bottom like this. Generally speaking, you want to get it around that bigger piece where that little knob is there. Didn't appear to be a lot of tension on it, so just hold it here, get yourself positioned. You can probably use finger strength on this. I don't know, we'll find out. Yep, you can use finger strength. And that's it. So line your tag end up with that squared shoulder on the free spool release. Kind of center it around here. That's the key part. Keep your finger on there. And then I just slid it over using some finger strength, slid it over this little piece here. So that's an answer to the question, where does that little spring go? And it's a reminder that when you're taking wheels apart, you should work towards getting the pictures taken when you can. Go to a schematic when you can't, right? And I understand perhaps that when this plastic piece was pulled off, it pulled that spring off somehow. I don't know. No harm, no shame in asking. And if you wanted to clean this whole thing up, and maybe that's what I'll do a little bit later. There's a spring underneath here that's controlling the up and down movement, the in and out of this. And it's got two screws on the back side of this that's holding that in. You can see the screws come through here. You can remove this little section, and then you can clean up all of the pieces behind. As I mentioned, this will be something I'm going to do later, just because it needs a tune-up. But at the moment, it's not in the priority list. So, okay, so that answers our question from the viewer in terms of the setting of that spring. But let's just go ahead and talk about the rest of this. I don't have time to fully rebuild the reel, but you have the reel here. You can clean the surface now. This will shine up very nicely. This has just got some old dried grease on it and that. Use a WD-40, use some steel wool, use a kitchen scrubby pad, whatever you like. Get the grease off as best as you can. You can remove this assembly here if you like. There's two screws on the side plate that can do that. And you have a spool bearing back here that you can grease. So what else is left to service? Well, take the pinion gear that came out, check all of the teeth, make sure that those teeth are nice and uniform, that there's no chips or cracks to them. And you want to grease these, and then just put that off to the side because you have to reinstall your side plate first. With your main assembly, you can remove the gear shaft here. I said I was going to rebuild this later. I'm almost rebuilding it now, right? Take the screw out of the center of the gear shaft. You can pull that whole piece out. That's going to enable you to clean underneath the bridge. When you're doing that, make sure you clean in the side here. Use a cotton swab or something, get in there and get all the old grease out of it. Put a fresh coat of grease onto the line here. Now, of course, we've pulled that off. These are your teeth for your anti-reverse. So you're going to have to move that over when you put this assembly back on. I use a pick. Just come in from underneath and push that out a little bit. Like that. And then test to make sure that you've got it correct. Then you can also pull this assembly off. All these pieces come out. And you can go ahead and check your drags. And again, we're going to do this another day, so I'm not going to go crazy here. But pull your pieces out. That's your one of your drag washers. There'll be several in here. And make sure that they're nice and clean. If they got grease on them, get it off. If they are broken or chipped, well, you're going to be in a little bit of luck, but a little bit of a disadvantage. But I think the Penn spinning wheel, the 700 series spinning wheel washer will fit in here. That washer's too small for the Penn Beachmaster 155, but I believe that the Penn spinning wheel washer fits in there if you have any that are broken and needs to be replaced. All right, then you just go ahead and put that back on. Hopefully you were paying attention on which way this came out. I'm just looking. This is going to be installed this way, spinning that way, so that's incorrect, I believe. This is where I tell you to take the pictures, because the pictures will tell you which way it goes. So if we're spinning this way, you want that tag end is going to push this up, right? So picture it this way and spinning that way, that's correctly installed. Okay, just in case you had an issue there. All right, then you're going to put your screw back in. After you've done that, you're going to check the teeth on the main gear. Make sure it's the same as what you just checked for the pinion gear. You're going to make sure that they're all uniform. If they're clogged like that, go get a brush, clear out those channels. It can be a hard brush, it can be a wire brush. You can even use a pick if you want and do it one by one. This one's got a lot of old grease in it. So it's just a note to myself that I'm going to have to go do some pretty good cleaning, because all that grease will interfere with the real performance. Once you've done that, then you can go back in. The issue here always on the install of that side plate is you have a little clip here that is a waterproofing clip for that free spool release, and you have to work that on. So when you go to install that, one piece goes above and one piece goes below. You can see there's a lip on the hard case here. So two things you need to do. You need to get the side plate screw mounted properly, and then you have to work the piece so that the lower clip is underneath and the top clip is above. Just like that. We're in good stead there. You can install your spool gear or your pinion gear next. That's got that little lip on it. So you slide that under the fork, and you'll take your main gear. You can load that in. And then once you put the 4 side plate screws on, here's my 4 side plate screws. We notice that they're all the same size. But once you put that in, that's going to hold that whole case assembly together. So it's a relatively easy reel to work on once you figure out what you're working on. I'm going to just go ahead and align that. It looks like the bridge is off a little bit there, so I'm going to use a pick as an alignment tool on one side. That'll enable me to square up the shoulders on the other. And a couple of the tricks there, right? In terms of you may not be able to find the right washer, but you're probably going to be able to substitute a washer. You may have to play around with it, but for some reason I'm just thinking that the washers on that Penn reel, I think I've probably done that in the past. The washers on that Penn spinning reel is okay, the 700 series. So there you go. So that's how you will tighten it back up. You'll put your furrow back in, you'll put your star adjuster on, and then you have a single take apart here that'll go back onto the mounting like this. Start on the low hashtag, turn it. That's probably off camera, but You want to turn it so that it goes to the upper hashtag to lock in, much like a pen jig master. And we have the handle. Not quite sure why this washer's on there. That doesn't look like a washer that came with this reel. I'm going to have to go check another one of my Capitals and see if it is. I don't believe it is. But there's an example there where the schematic will help you as well. Looks like it might belong underneath there. All right, and then give it a turn. Now, this one's very tight, and as I mentioned, it's tight because there's grease that's just totally packed and coagulated on that main gear. So I'll rebuild this one another day, but I did want to answer a viewer's question, and while I was at it, I figured I'd show you some of the steps involved in the servicing of this reel. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe. If you do subscribe, please hit the notification button to see the videos that I post and choose which ones you'd like to watch. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section. If you like the video, please indicate that by liking it. And finally, if you have a reel that needs to be repaired and you would like me to service it, please contact me by email, and I'll do my best to provide you with the service and repair information. So this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.